office phone service. Phone 877-234-4923. Saturday weather forecast, chance of a shower today. Most of the day partly to mostly cloudy near 80. South wind 10 to 15. Showers and thunderstorms will increase tonight, mid-60s, mostly cloudy. More clouds, more showers and thunderstorms expected Sunday. Maybe some isolated severe thunderstorms Sunday. The high Sunday around 70. South wind up to 20-25 miles per hour. We'll keep you updated. Your life, your music. We're KLEK 102.5 FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Priscilla Huff. At least 60 are dead in two separate attacks during Friday worship at mosques in Afghanistan. Spain moves forward with direct rule for Catalonia, planning to dissolve the regional parliament ahead of January elections. Iraqi forces say they have fully retaken Kirkuk from Kurdish Peshmerga following that region's independence vote. A top North Korean diplomat says the U.S. should be prepared to coexist with a nuclear North Korea.
It's 12:01.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for our Thoughts on the Matter, a program offering opinions from all sides of the issues concerning local, state, and national topics of importance to the Jonesboro community. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters, donors, or sponsors.
KLEK 102.5 FM, good afternoon to you on your Saturday. It's October 21st, 2017. This is our Thoughts on the Matter. Cato Wonder is in the studio with you. I'm joined by Ms. Helen Scott, who is just having a seat. We also have Brother Cobbs, and we have Brother Boyd, who is in town, and we appreciate Brother Boyd for stopping in the studio. And we have Mr. Brad Dial. We got a lot of stuff that is going on in the Jonesboro community. Before we get into our show topics, just want to remind everyone, First Baptist Church, 700 Kitchen Street, will host their fall festival from 4 o'clock p.m. until 7 o'clock p.m. Several local churches will be there. St. Bernard's Hospital will be there. NEA Hospital will be there. Our own Brother Boyd is going to provide the music. He's going to have a nice selection of gospel music to help get you lifted and inspired. They're going to have food and fun and family and just a good time. So that's at First Baptist, 700 Kitchen Street from 4 o'clock p.m. until 7 o'clock p.m. So we hope to see you there. Yeah, today. Okay. And let's see. Now getting into our show topics, lots of things have been going on with the city this week, and the first thing that we're going to talk about is about the city council says no to pay raises for elected officials and passes the alcohol permit ordinance. I'm going to read from kasu.org. The article about it says elected officials in Jonesboro will not receive a pay raise at this time. The Jonesboro City Council amended an ordinance last night, well, this was actually this past Tuesday, that called for a 6% pay raise for elected officials in Jonesboro. The original ordinance called for all elected officials to receive a raise, but aldermen made the change that took the city council out of consideration. They then voted on whether or not Jonesboro Mayor Harold Perrin, City Attorney Carol Duncan, and City Clerk Donna Jackson will receive a 6% raise. That was voted down 10-1. Alderman Gene Vance suggested that in the future, aldermen consider a long-term pay scale that would be similar to one that was approved for all Jonesboro workers. He said such a proposal could be worked on in a committee, and all concerns about elected officials' pay could be resolved while the plan is being drafted. And we're joined by Mrs. Amanda Donovan. As previously stated, most on the council stated they wanted any money to go towards needed projects in Jonesboro instead of raises. Also, the Jonesboro City Council passed a procedure that changes the way alcohol licenses are granted in Jonesboro. The state legislature put the ball in the courts of municipalities and how to address the issue of alcohol licenses. Instead, the state's Alcohol Beverage Control Board approving the permits and licenses first. The city of Jonesboro now has the first step of deciding those licenses. Under the ordinance passed last night, an 8-page application form would be filled out, which would then be submitted to the Jonesboro Police Department. City planners would also review the application to see if all adequacies have been met, such as proximities to schools and churches. The City Council will also have a large say in the matter because Craighead County is a dry county. Alderman Bobby Long expressed concerns about how to put more teeth into the ordinance, making it harder for permits to be issued in Craighead County. City Attorney Carol Duncan told Long the ordinance as it stands already provides standards that must be met in a hefty review process. She said if additional criteria were to be added, that could be done in the very near future. Long stated he would look to add such criteria and draft and amend the ordinance. The new law in Jonesboro takes effect in 30 days. And that came from kasu.org. So, pay raises and liquor licenses. What do you guys think?
Well, I'm very glad, and from the word around town, talking to people, they're very glad that they chose not to take a pay raise. Now, I can understand why they would want one. I mean, I like to get a pay raise. But as of right now, we are all the time talking and hearing at City Council about how it's so hard to pay our hourly employees plus the 2% every year that they are guaranteed for standard life living. You know, we're always talking about, well, we're going to have to pull out a budget. We're going to have to pay out a budget. Well, if we're already having problems, why go ahead and give yourself a raise knowing that we're going to have hard times trying to pay the hourly people? Why put another debt on us that we're going to have to pay? Now, I know it's just 6%, but here's another turn. You know, that 6% added to 2%, that's 8%, and we're already griping about the 2% not being able to afford it. And most people I've talked to, they're glad that they actually voted this down. Now, one, it's because they're sitting on council already. They're voting themselves a raise and not somebody else, the next people coming up.
I would agree. I think that's probably the biggest.
They're voting themselves a raise.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest issue. I think most of all is that I do not believe that they should have the ability to vote themselves a raise. Right, and that's actually one thing I did like about the article too, mentioning that try to put everybody on the same general pay grade scale, which needs to be there.
Right.
And that way it's in writing, and if you can kind of just follow what the state does overall, and I think it'd be a good policy in general. That way you don't have to vote, especially voting for yourself a pay raise going into an election year.
Right.
And that's also a good thing to think about as well.
What about other surrounding cities of this magnitude? I mean, what are their pay scales?
Pull your mic a little bit.
What
are their pay scales? City of 75,000.
Well, they did a study, and we're only number one in one of the elected officials, but I can't remember exactly which one it was, but we're in the middle. We're not too high and we're not too low. We're right in the middle because they put us on a rank from 1 to 5, but dealing with here, Fayetteville, Little Rock, Conway.
You can't put Little Rock in there with us.
But it was a study and survey that they did before they actually brought this matter forward.
So overall, our city pay is pretty much on the average.
Right.
And one thing I did want to add to the conversation, when the raises came up for the police and fire and first responders, Mayor Perrin did say, okay, now that you've passed this and that the money for these raises are currently coming out of the reserves, at some point, if there isn't more money raised or some cuts made, the reserves will be in danger of running dry. And that probably played a factor in this decision as well.
Right. Mm-hmm. And anybody with good business sense and money sense will know if you're pulling out a reserve, that means you're spending too much money. You're spending your savings. You're not spending your current revenue. So once that money's gone, it's gone. And we have got to maintain an amount in the bank to satisfy the state, and we got to have a balanced budget. That's federal and state law.
Exactly, just basic budgeting.
Right.
Yes.
All right. Well, Brett, go ahead.
I think it was Miss Helen.
All right, well, Helen.
It all seems like it could be, if they look at it a different way, it does have a resolution to it. And I know that they're looking into pulling in more income without doing things like increasing taxes, and they're also looking to how to handle the funds that we have in a way that works for everyone. And it seems like a hard task, but okay, so without the obvious thing of the income that we have coming in, nobody knows where all the money is coming from, but let's just say, what do we have as a city that we are pulling money from our own communities? Well, we have shopping areas and things like that.
I'm assuming what you mean is, as Jonesboro continues to grow and more businesses come here, there's more taxes and permits and fees and things that are come from those businesses that could help make up for that revenue.
I know that they want to keep it a dry county.
Yeah, I was about to say, what are your thoughts? And we can kind of use this as a transition on this thing. Of course, now it makes things interesting because in the past, if you wanted to have alcohol at your establishment, you went straight to the ABC, and then they would check with JPD, and people, if they wanted to protest, would have to go direct to ABC. Now they're saying, okay, take it to your local council first, then bring it to us. Now,
I love that idea, and I really do.
Council is saying we're gonna say no as soon as you bring it here.
Well, Alderman Long has already went on record on his Facebook page in a public post saying that he would vote against any application that would come forward. I don't know how the other council members would feel, but it's going to definitely make for some interesting applications going forward in the future.
Because it takes more than one person to make something pass.
Well, yeah, very true. And I'm actually all for this because you've got different views of thought on having alcohol in town. We are a dry county, yes, but we're a damp county.
Right.
Well, let's be honest. But, you've got different ways to look at it. You've got people that, we want more business. We want more restaurants. We want more variety. Well, you have to appeal. You got to appeal to those businesses that come here. And you have to make them want to be here. Well, yes. But then the same people that are probably arguing about, this that has passed, are they the same people that want more variety? And you can't have it both ways. And allowing the city to actually have a say in what happens in their own community is the best way to do it.
Right.
Same thing.
I agree.
There was a minimum amount of citizens that you had to have before your city can go wet. Because once there was 50,000, they said we can go wet at 50,000. Then they raised it to another amount.
It's just a city ordinance at that point. Technically, Jonesboro could be wet and the county could still be dry. You can do that.
Well, let me ask you all this. Do you think a day will ever come in which Craighead County will go wet, or even not the county, the city?
I think so.
It's coming.
Long time ago, Jonesboro didn't have as many. They had more saloons than churches, so it's change has been happening.
I'm kind of on the fence about this.
Before you said it, I'm not asking, do you feel it? Do you agree or disagree with it? But do you think it will?
Yeah, I think it will.
It will.
I think it might, but it's going to be really down the road. And the reason why I'm saying this is because we got these public clubs here, private clubs, whatever you want to call them, that offer this, and they're able to charge an extra fee, which is the guest services fee. So, we have a lot of competition to keep this county dry first.
We also have our grocery stores that they're competing against other towns where you can go to the grocery store and you can get a bottle of wine. Mm-hmm. And some of the places that we have here, they have other stores and they have same stores in other towns that's beating and outdoing because you can go and buy a harmless bottle of wine.
But you can also drive 10 miles up 49 North here and get a bottle of wine and drive home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we want to keep the money here in the county.
I understand that, but then you got to start thinking about drinking and driving. People driving to the store.
They have open
container. That becomes so harmless then.
It has open container laws, and you have to do it responsibly like anything. But if you want to talk about the revenue of a town, and then you say no to anything.
Well, again, so it kind of goes back. Both of these topics we just talked about, they definitely go hand in hand because, the more we grow, the more people are wanting to see things occur inside the city. You've got to grow your city. You have to maintain your city. And there are a lot of government programs that people want to see happen, but we all know well and good that the more you want something, somebody's got to pay for it. And that is a lot of tax revenue leaving this area.
It is.
That could be put to good use.
If I had to choose the worst of two evils, there is no choice. You have no choice other than these two. Whether it go wet for alcohol or green for medical marijuana, I have rather see it go for medical marijuana than alcohol.
You're still going to be having the same argument of somebody being inebriated at some point. There's more people that have accidents from texting and driving and shoving a cheeseburger in their face. Okay. Let's be honest.
I can see that.
Distractions are distractions.
Me, myself, and I almost died because of a drunk driver. So
And obviously,
I don't do alcohol.
Understand you would be passionate about it. And actually, in Alderman Long's post, he said one of the reasons why he would oppose any application that came before the council is because of his own personal experience with a family member that was involved in a drunk driving accident. But Amanda brings up a good point. I asked the question earlier about whether you guys think it will actually go wet, and I think a tipping point probably is the fact that, the medical cannabis marijuana is coming. And then I think something that has already happened, I think is probably going to sway the tide, is now that you can get alcohol at Arkansas State University games. There was a nonprofit that was created to handle the sale of alcoholic beverages at the football games. By the way, shout out to them Red Wolves getting that victory.
Yeah,
they beat down the Raging Cajuns. So
big W.
Oh, that wasn't a W. That was a massacre.
I know.
That was something else, but I can't say it on the air.
It was a capital W.
It was a whooping, and you can figure out the other word that goes in front of it.
It was a can of it.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember what happened? We were making a joke about stuffing the cheeseburger in your face and driving. So you guys remember what happened with the case that led up to the McDonald's cup getting the warnings on it?
Yeah, the lady got third-degree burns.
I'm sorry, but if you don't know hot coffee's hot, I'm sorry.
It comes down.
It wasn't that it spilled in her lap.
It was one of those things that we do know that if you take any form of medicine, even if it's a Tylenol, there's only so many you can take before it's going to have an adverse reaction.
You take 16 Tylenol.
Red wine is helpful actually to the body. Some doctors even
one 8-ounce glass.
Exactly. So if everyone adhered to the good sides of it without it going above and getting out of order, then it can be a good thing for both the city revenue as well as the community without having to drive way out.
I understand that,
city limit.
But like last night, we had to have JPD down there next door to my house because fools getting out there.
Down there.
Well, it's because we have fools out there that get drunk and start knocking on neighbors' doors and stuff.
Again, I'll say this, and we were talking about, should the city be able, the pros and cons of the city being able to decide liquor license. I think it is good, but if your argument, honestly, sometimes is because it'll increase drunk driving, replace drunk driving with XYZ, and you're going to have the same problem. Somebody is going to replace that with something else that's going to cause a problem.
Yeah.
They sell
it's going to happen.
They sell those, what are those cars, those ones that I see every once in a while, you can hear someone tearing the road up down it. Obviously I think they're going above the speed limit, but they still sell the cars. It's just a user.
And we got a Facebook comment from Kabila, and while I pull this up, looking at NEA report, it said a deer jumped through the window of somebody's house.
That don't surprise me none.
Well, Lord be with them.
Was he drunk?
I don't know.
Did they have some wine?
I'm just scrolling on Facebook. I was scrolling on Facebook and
they got in the muscadine patch and ate too many muscadines.
Trying to pull up the video, our live video.
I'd like to make a quick comment.
All right, brother boy. Let's
about the.
Kabila said that?
Well, let me read Kubila's comment and we'll get to Brother Boyd.
Right.
Kubila says, what about the amount of liquor that is already in town? What about people who bootleg? What about liquor on campus?
I'm not speaking on any bootleggers.
I'll go back and say the same thing. Whether it's alcohol, whether it's a replacement, whether it's marijuana. I mean, whatever your choice is, somebody's going to replace XYZ item. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just like, what was it, last year over on Southwest Drive in front of the Come and Go, the person drove their Ford Explorer in somebody's living room.
That's Southwest Drive.
Southwest Drive, yeah. And what was that? They were doing whippets. I mean, come on, they were huffing paint out of bags and things like that.
Yeah,
and they drove into somebody's living room.
I remember the huffing situation.
All right, let's get Brother Boyd's comment in.
Wow. Well, I'd like to go back to the issue with y'all with the, pay raise. Back in Little Rock, when we first got Mark Stolen, he really into.
Now, who is Mark Stolen for those that don't know?
He's the mayor of the city of Little Rock.
Okay.
And he, written in his contract where he'll get a pay raise. And we had
and the council up there voted for that.
Well, yeah, they have the same issue with with the citizens, complaining about that. But in overall, it kind of helped a little bit because not only did that help with that part, it also improved on the pay raises for all the other city employees too. Because I worked for the city for 7.5 years, and they have seen an increase on their pay salaries pretty much from the times that I had been working there and from the times that I had left. And it improved on, getting better equipment for the police, the fire department, paramedics, and, it just helped it helped the city out in the long run.
Quality of life and morale. Too,
Yeah.
But it was for all city employees, right? Not just.
Yeah, not just for him. Yeah, it was. Yeah, and see, and then it also helped with the. And I just had it in my head, and I just forgot it.
Do you know if they had a sales tax for that?
That's what I was about to talk about. The sales tax did go up because for years Little Rock has the lowest sales tax than any other city in the city. The state of Arkansas.
What's the sales tax?
I can't tell you, off my head.
Right.
But I know it was low enough to where Jonesboro had the highest,
right.
tax.
We're sitting at 8.5% right now.
The gas prices is high though.
Right.
Well, it's higher. It's higher than Little Rock than what it is up here. So
somebody clear it up for me, because the street talks, and then you have Google. So tell me, if you have alcohol in your town, if it's a what town, does that make the taxes higher or lower?
I think it would depend on the town.
Well, there's actually for the establishments that have alcohol, they actually pay a liquor tax, and actually, it is a substantial amount of tax.
The city taxes, the taxes they incorporate on.
Well, they have standard sales tax,
and then there's liquor tax.
There is actually a liquor tax on top of it.
There's also a tobacco tax. I don't know if you knew about that. Also,
there are taxes on certain.
And of course, then they also pay tax. Then when they sell it, they got to pay the tax on that income as well.
That's right. And then there's also your soda. There's a federal tax on certain goods. The next
luxury tax on the hotel stay.
Right.
Typically, alcohol sales, I believe your tax somewhere averages about 25%. Actually,
that's a little stiff.
Well, think about it, because you were talking
beer and your hard liquor.
Well, it depends on this depends on where you're at, because even you were talking about Little Rock, like River Market in Little Rock has the highest state liquor tax in Arkansas. It's like 33%.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
So we're gonna leave it there. We're gonna leave it there, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting ready to go to a break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about apartments and duplexes. A lot of people don't like them. They don't want them. They're still opposition. Then also, a teacher throws. The parents of a kid throw a brick at a teacher. What's up with that? We'll talk about it on the other side of the break.
Do that? That's another human being.
This is Our Thoughts on the Matter. And this is KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Our Thoughts on the Matter on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Angie with your KLEK Learn Spanish Minute. Sí hablo inglés. I speak English.
Sí hablo inglés.
No hablo español. I don't speak Spanish.
No hablo español.
Perfecto. No entiendo. I don't understand.
No entiendo. I don't think I did that right.
No entiendo.
No entiendo.
Perfecto. I'm Angie, and that was your Learn Spanish Minute on KLEK 102.5 FM.
Danny Ford, owner of Glen Saint Motors in Paragould, strongly believes in the values of family and hard work, with a commitment to the men and women of the U.S. Armed Forces who keep America free, providing sales and servicing of Chevys, GMCs, Buicks, and Cadillacs, located at 6345 Highway 49 in Paragould, 870-565-4358. Details at glensaintparagould.com and at klekfm.org. God bless our troops.
The key to making this station even better could be parked in your driveway right now. Donate your old car to us, you'll get a tax deduction, and we'll tow it away for free.
Go to klekfm.org for more information. Support for KLEK is brought to you by
Fullness of Joy Ministries, 2120 Thorn Street, Jonesboro, under the direction of Bishop Adrian Rogers and co-pastor Susan Rogers. www.fjministries.org.
And now back to Our Thoughts on the Matter on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back to Our Thoughts on the Matter on KLEK 102.5 FM. Hater Wonder is in the studio with you, along with Amanda Donovan and Helen Scott. Brother Cobbs and
What's
Brother
up?
Boyd and Brad Dowling. As you see, we've been having a lively discussion off the air.
Yes,
Our next topic that we're going to talk about, let me put this little split screen action back up that Brother Dow had given us. But talking about apartments and duplexes was one of the other things that was brought up in the city council meeting that kind of has been coming up a lot lately. There are people who are seeking zoning permits to build duplexes, apartments, and spaces where formerly single-family homes were located, and they've been met with stiff opposition. In fact, there's an example, one that's close to Brother Dow and I off Lohberg being built, and there's some opposition to that. And one of the things that the people who are opposed say is they don't like that these houses, in order to fit into the land space, they're built sideways. So when you drive by, you don't look at the front of this duplex, you're looking at the side, and it kind of makes the other surrounding houses look unsightly. And they also say, well, there's already a glut of properties available. They say if you just look in the newspaper or anywhere where they're advertising apartments for rent, there seems to be plenty of supply available. So why are more apartments being built? But what do you guys think about it?
I say build apartments. Come on, you guys. I say let's build them up, because not every is for the space that you can put one house. Maybe you can fit four families, and they should be able to have that same option in nice neighborhoods, unnice neighborhoods. Just like a home. Just like if someone wanted to build their home somewhere, that could be that's a home.
And I'd also like to throw in on that too. It's like, you know, if I had a choice between a humongous apartment complex versus a duplex, I'd rather see the duplex, because a lot of times they look more and they kind of fit into the surrounding viewpoint. But you know, I drive every day from home to work and going downtown, and I can probably think there's 6 different duplex or you know, fourplexes being built, and I'd rather see that than some dilapidated home.
Right.
You know, especially on Matthews, right over near the entrance to Annie Camp and everything like that. There was some run down places. I mean, just abandoned, and they've been ripped down, and they're putting in modern duplex. I'd rather see that, and it gives somebody the opportunity, like you said, to have a place versus it just looking horrible.
And also, the city has come together, and with the planning commissioners and planners, they've actually come up with a guideline that they're working on right now for these duplexes and the apartments and things like that for the landscape. I have the book. It's at the house. I forgot to bring it, but I will give it to Cato, and he can actually put it on the internet if people want to look at it.
Why are they all in particular one certain area of town?
To spread them out.
Well, property value. Property value.
And Brother Cobb brings up a good point. I think that is one of the things that people who are in opposition say, like, why do they seem to just wind up in one area instead of, you know, being more spread out?
They're putting some over there behind, what is it, Micro Society?
Yeah.
They got a couple of new ones over there, and they have some right downtown, nice looking ones.
Those not for anybody.
Come on
now, those not for anybody.
Well, okay, so there are some.
So are you saying? Are you saying that they're priced to where the average person may not can afford them?
I mean,
downtown.
There are, well, that's downtown, and I can see those being a higher price point. But honestly, I work downtown, and I drive all the way to the end of Nettleton, and there are a variety of duplexes being put in place, and I would probably imagine they're pretty affordable, because I mean,
no, they're not. I mean, they put in duplexes, and I've heard some of the tenants are complaining. You paying over $900 a month for these duplexes.
Are these the ones that?
How many bedrooms is it? Do you? 2-bedroom?
They have some like that.
The house across the street from where I live, it's a 3-bedroom house. It rents for $1,400, and I live behind Jonesboro High School.
And some of these places come with utilities included in the cost of the rent. Like once you pay that, they're included.
No utilities.
I mean, I don't know if the area makes a difference. Well, in what you're saying, because there's a lot of duplexes being built off of G Street and Matthews.
They're just not beginning to focus that area. I mean, because it started on the other side of Johnson. That's where it started. I mean, they flooded that area with duplexes, but it's no business. Why you
I mean,
gonna flood the area
I can think of
with
right
no
now.
business?
I can think of brand new ones being built on Nettleton across from the gas station by that big
I said
complex of
they starting in
apartments.
that area now, but
Yeah.
for 4 years, 5 years, they've been all on the other side of Johnson.
Okay.
You put in apartments, but you're not putting any workers. Nowhere to work.
They're
And
trying
that's an interesting thing. Okay, they're building apartments, but are there enough jobs to go around for people to get employment to afford the rent on these apartments?
Right.
Yes. I know they're trying to build up the area down by Hydro, the area Highland, because those are close to the factories, and I don't know the cost of them, Brother Collins, but there are people like all off into those little nooks. They have some that I visited, and I did not know that they had actually put in new complexes, new duplexes, new apartments.
And the question, we're talking about the price of the duplexes and the rent and stuff. Well, most of the time when they're having to create new or buy and there's always a loan somewhere. Most businesses, and you figure that into how much you're going to charge for your rent.
And price of goods to build them.
Right.
$1,400, but you got 4 duplexes and you charge them all $900.
Well, it depends on how much.
$4,000.
I do like the
house is
idea.
just
Well, this is a
$1,400.
topic that's actually come up before on the show. I mean, I don't think these people are going to build property just to break even.
I do
I'm
like
sorry,
the
they're
idea.
not. They're not.
And
if you think
I do,
that-
my business collects a little bit of profit, but we ain't here to be millionaires.
Right.
Well, but some, like Brad said, some people
They're greedy.
I wouldn't even say greedy, but some people want to make sure that their investment is worthwhile
Might
to
be
them.
retiring off
You
that.
know,
But they on the back. A lot of these people that's on the other side of Johnson, you building on the back of welfare recipients.
What about the idea of the ones?
Well, let's
that-
bring in Brother Boy.
Well, but why are they not building more houses in the city? Because as I'm coming into Jonesboro, I see more houses building outside of Jonesboro than what they are building inside of Jonesboro.
And I think, to Brother Boy's point, I think the people who are against, I think that's kind of the main thing that they're saying. Why duplexes instead of houses? And maybe instead of a duplex, maybe build 2 of those little tiny houses.
Yeah, you can build
on the same lot. Of course, it's not my place to tell people what to build on their property, but
Okay, did you see the apartments coming out on North Patrick Street? All those apartments and duplexes out there.
Well,
You know how much those are renting for? You don't even want to know.
I mean, even if that were the case, if someone wanted to build a house, they have every opportunity to go build a house, but they're not. So the person that had the opportunity to buy that property and put a duplex, I mean, the only way to look at this is we are having economic growth. I mean, if we were not in an economically growing area, you wouldn't see new construction. So you got to take it for what it's worth. I mean, we are seeing people put back into the community, whether it's not what you might like.
They ain't putting it back. They're putting it in their pocket.
Well, okay. Well, we'll put it like this: do you cut hair for free?
Sometimes.
But that's my point, though. You have to make a living.
Right,
And
right.
these people, if they're making a living off of property, so be it. But at least they're actually putting back structure. They're
And
not letting
also
property
these
run down and be
people have to
dilapidated.
pay property tax. The owners have to pay, the property personal taxes to the federal and state and city government. Most of these people, when they start from ground up, they also employ contractors who also employ truck drivers, who also employ dirt haulers.
Okay. Back to what was said earlier about apartments. They don't want an apartment in a certain area. How many duplexes can be put up in a certain area? I mean,
depends on the size of the land. Though.
And I can understand the schools on that.
The 300 apartments being put up, but you can go down certain streets on the north side of Jones, but they don't put up 30 to 40 duplexes.
Well, but like before they build that property, it's got to be approved by the city and the zoning
But that's what I'm
committee.
saying.
So
Why
do you
that
want to be mad
area?
at the zoning committee or the person that put up the money to build the
They don't
property?
they ain't building sidewalks. They ain't building retaining
Actually, they are
walls,
building
they're not-
sidewalks. They are building sidewalks all the way down Matthews.
No,
all the way down Matthews, even on the other side of G Street.
Let's go to Johnson.
And
back.
there
They did
is
not do
also
that.
sidewalks went down on Patrick also.
So Brother Cobbs, is your point of contention is the particular areas around town?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so do you think there's like a concerted effort to build on certain parts of town as opposed to other parts of town. Okay, so let's take the north side. Well, one of the reasons why you potentially probably have somebody on the north side is close proximity to Arkansas State University. So they're probably marketing, to students, hoping that.
And most of these people aren't going to buy a home if they're planning on leaving after they graduate.
No. These are homes for people. Those Arkansas State students are not coming that far down into Jonesboro off of Johnson.
Well, how far are we talking about?
Fisher, back.
We had someone who. We actually had someone who volunteered here that actually lived in some new apartments that was off of the area. So I mean, it can't happen. But we've got about 9 minutes, so we're gonna get off the subject. We want to talk about the teacher and the student that was thrown the bricks. So let me pull my article up.
That breaks my heart. It really does.
And then when we do our wrap up, we can. If we want to say anything else about this topic, we can. This comes from Newsweek.com. Mother attacks Pittsburgh teacher with a brick over a school phone ban. And let me scroll. Our computer's not want to cooperate with me today. That's all right though.
Go to Brad.
Yes.
Well, basically,
Well, no, there's not man in the helm on this.
I probably got too many windows open, so let's close a couple of these out. But basically, I read a similar article. The gist of the story is that there was a teacher who ordered a student to put up the student's cell phone, and the student complained to the parent saying that the teacher had choked and assaulted them, and the parent got angry and came to the school and confronted the teacher, and then later on confronted the teacher and basically threw a brick through the teacher's car and hit the teacher, who was a female, in the head, and the teacher sustained severe injuries. So
that's assault, no matter which way you look at it. And you're supposed to be, as a parent, you are the ultimate role model for your children.
Well, as a former school teacher, I'll tell you my story now. Obviously, thank God it wasn't as violent as that, but I had a student who always brought chips and food to class, and every day I said, you can't do that. She kept on doing it, so I got creative. I said, okay, well, since you have brought food today, class, don't you think it's kind of unfair that this student is just eating all this food? Are y'all hungry?
I want some.
So I said, if you're going to insist on bringing food, you got to share it with everybody.
What type of chips were they?
Blaze. So
like I said,
I made her share with the whole class. The next day during my service period, I got called to the principal's office for impromptu parent-teacher conference, and I walked in and I basically got called everything but a child of God. I mean, this lady was just jumping up and down, screaming, cursing me out, and the principal just finally said, Mr. Kale, go back to your room. I'll deal with this. And he basically removed the student from my class. But things like this, and this was in 2005, and it's only have gotten worse. And my wife is a school teacher. I know of others in the profession and stories like this. Now, yeah, this isn't a hyper extreme case, but
it does happen.
But stories of parents who basically come to the school and clown on teachers because of their kids, it happens more than you think.
I think it's always it's too much believing the student or the child. I mean, they want to believe everything come out that child's mouth, and then you got to prove yourself innocent. And I don't, it's just that's not only at school. That's anything. The court system going to believe the children
over the parent. Yeah, exactly.
And see that shouldn't have never happened, because discipline comes from the home first. Then when you get to school, you're supposed to act, when your parents tell you to go to school and be good, be good.
Why that child have a phone? It's a phone ban. Why that parent brought that child a phone to come to school with? You bought it. You create the situation.
Yeah, and see, when my dad worked for Pulaski County Special School District, he had told some people that it is illegal for a student to have a phone on campus because of all the problems that it will cause. I don't know all the logistics about it, but he had told folks that is not, a number one priority for students to have their phones on campus. And you get to the problem where you have students that hide their phones in their bags and stuff like that. And when they get ready to have like a security scan, then you're not going to, find it because it's hidden.
Yeah, and I've heard stories of people hiding phones and, well, use your imagination.
Do we know whether or not
yes, Brad,
she
use your
actually?
imagination.
Yes, Brad. No, thank you.
I don't want to use it. No, I don't want to use your phone.
But have we heard whether or not the article stated or you stated that the teacher actually laid hands on this child? Do we know if that's true or not? I mean, it does not give the parent nothing.
From the article that I did read, it's not the one I tried to pull up that didn't happen, but I would imagine if that were the case, it would have probably been an article and that teacher would have been disciplined.
Right. They would have lost their job. But that does not still give the parent the right to put hands on the teacher either.
Well, again, like I think one of you mentioned, I think at the end of the day, it sets a bad example because it shows that child that no Windows, I do not want to update, go away. But
that's might be what's slowing it down.
But Windows 10 for you. All right, so, but it sets a bad example because it basically is telling that child
it's okay to behave that way.
But when they get into the real world, and it's a lot different. The boss man not gonna have to deal with it. Boss man gonna say, "See you." Mm-hmm. And if you're not careful, the ultimate end result will be a jail cell or the grave.
Yeah. And see, the other thing is a lot of parents is they child's best friend, and that's not the case. You gotta discipline your child. Like, if your child get in trouble at school and then you going up there raising Cain about what your child done, you should be the one to be, disciplined. Because you're not doing your job at the house.
They believe in the children. They believe in the children.
And this shouldn't be like that.
And I would just say, as a former teacher, teachers don't go to school thinking, whose child am I going to pick on today?
Thank you.
They don't.
And you have a lot of teachers.
At least I know I didn't.
You have a lot of teachers that truly care about their students, but then you got some that's in the classroom that want to act the butt and cause a lot of problems, and then that's messing up the other students that really want to learn chance to learn, because you got
the time he got a follow, he or she has a follow.
And the other part about that too is this kid is going to grow up to be just like their parent.
Whatever happened to corporal punishment?
Handling issues like this, and they're going to be in society just like
Well,
this.
Amanda, to answer that question, at some point it was deemed that was, and I think we've talked about this on the previous episode, of psychologically and physically abusive. Of course, I'm checking on my rear end. I don't see any lasting bruises or scrapes.
My mother was firm believer on that.
Let's bring in Helen.
One of the reasons why I have not commented even off of the radio is because Brad calls me on special. I've been through some things, but I grew up in a school where you would see different altercation between teachers and students. Mm-hmm. And you never know what started. May have been someone outside of the school that has followed inside. We're hearing even now, unfortunately, there are teachers that are having inappropriate relationships with students. And as a parent, if my child is having a problem with an adult, I definitely go out there. I don't like having any relationship with my child is involved with an adult and I don't know about it. So that's my first thing. And I'm a liaison always between my child and the adult. But that takes a lot of looking into, and as it seems as though there's been some accusations made, of course, it does happen, but it's one of those things where if you don't really know exactly what happened, I understand it's a really messed up thing to think of someone hitting someone with a brick. Where you get this brick.
But the thing is,
well, let me get in on this one. Helen, and you certainly have a valid point, but my thing is, I think it's a difference between, as a concerned parent, you can go to the school and you can meet with that teacher, express your concerns, and it's a difference. You will get a lot further as you come up there trying to cause a bunch of drama.
Right. And also, the parent.
You have every right to express any concerns that you may have.
This rationally. Is the incident that we're knowing about, but we don't know what led up to this. It might have just been multiple things that led up to this altercation back and forth. I'm telling you guys, there's some parents.
But then again, we have the police department. Why can't this parent? Why can't people be adults? That's what their job is for.
Adults fight.
Yes. Think about it, Helen. You're a single parent.
I
You
DJ'd
go
a
out
wedding
there-
where the bride and groom's families got into a brawl. So
But
grown
the
folks
thing
fight.
is,
That's another show,
But
though.
the thing is, it was a policy.
Yes.
It's a school policy.
Yes.
School policy.
That
It's a school
is no
policy
phone.
everywhere.
So if it's there and you supposed to read the policy book,
Yes.
if you don't, that's on you.
I mean,
But
it's,
you
it's
don't
a
feel-
lot.
All right, y'all.
It's a lot to pick up.
Get ready to go to break again. Amanda, go ahead and bob your head to the
Well,
meet.
yeah, I understand
We
that
always
too.
come back to accountability, and these people just aren't being accountable.
Wait, when we come back, we'll pick this up and we'll kind of just wrap up all of the topics that we've talked about today. Still got time to weigh in on our Facebook Live feed or give us a call at 870-277-1080. This is Our Thoughts on the Matter, and this is KLEK on 2.5 FM.
You're listening to Our Thoughts on the Matter on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Black Health Now.
If you or someone close to you suffers from razor bumps, these tips may help you cope. Always use sharp blades when using a handheld razor. Always shave in the direction of hair growth. Shaving against the grain causes pointy, sharp hairs that can burrow back into the skin. Don't stretch the skin when shaving. It can cause darkness and discoloration of underlying skin tissue. Watch your diet. Many skin conditions subside when fatty foods that contain excess oil, cholesterol, or sodium are avoided. Consider using a depilatory. They work for most skin types, but pass on alcohol-laden aftershaves that cause irritation. The last solution is to grow a beard, as many black men have done, to avoid shaving altogether. I'm Alexis Comer for Black Health Now.
Black Health Now.
Black Health Now is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization dedicated to uncompromising commitment to communities, service, leadership, empowerment. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Black Health Now is made possible by CJ Pepper and the staff of Life Strategies Counseling Incorporated, counseling individuals and groups of all ages. 1-866-972-1268. LSCIHelp.com.
The McDaniel Law Firm, 400 South Main Street in Jonesboro, is a firm believer in justice and equality for the minority community. The McDaniel Law Firm has fought for our rights for over 44 years. The McDaniel Law Firm offers legal help for wrongful death as well as trucking and automobile accidents. Bobby and Brett McDaniel are available for a free consultation at 870-336-4747 or at www.mcdaniellawyers.com.
The Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated was established on January 1st, 1977, originally serving Blytheville, Arkansas, and now serving Jonesboro, Blytheville, Osceola, Marion, and West Memphis, Arkansas. Today, the chapter continues to make an impact by focusing on Alpha's national community outreach initiatives such as My Brother's Keeper, A Voteless People is a Hopeless People, Go to High School, Go to College, Project Alpha, Boy Scouts, and the March of Dimes. The Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is committed to Alpha's mission of developing leaders, promoting brotherhood and academic excellence, while providing service and advocacy to the community. More information about the Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is available at MOL Alphas on Facebook or via email at molalphas@gmail.com.
Now back to our thoughts on the matter on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on Our Thoughts on the Matter on KLEK 102.5 FM. And we've been talking about a variety of topics this past hour. We talked about pay raises. We talked about liquor licenses. We talked about apartments and housing and duplexes. And the unfortunate incident where a parent attacked a teacher by throwing a brick through the window. So kind of in our last 8 minutes, just kind of any final thoughts on any of the topics that we've addressed so far?
I have a thought, one on a couple of them. What is it that is okay for Jonesboro to have? I just need...
In regards to?
We have city council meetings and you can definitely go there and voice, but if everything that comes as an option or opportunity is no. Sooner or later, we're not going to have any.
Well, Helen,
people want change but don't want change.
Well, Helen, my response to that would be is those that are for have to come
and voice their opinion also.
just like those who are opposed have their right, those that are for have their right. And if you, like I said, be the change in which you seek. So if
how
you
many
want,
votes need to be passed in order for them to pass something? Let's just say
I think a majority.
application for
You have to have 2/3 vote, right?
I'm not sure it was a majority or 2/3 vote, but just getting back to what you're saying, Helen, lobby your councilman, call them, email them, text them, let them know, and get your friends to as well to show the councilman, hey, this is what we want.
Yes.
And if you can do that in a greater proportion to the other side, then you will win.
Yes. That's
And that's with
something for
anything.
Community awareness, you guys. We got to get out there and we have to get vocal. We have to get heard to have anything.
And kind of branching off what you said, I mean, it's like we're seeing. I feel like we're seeing certain positive progress in Jonesboro. I mean, we're seeing a lot of building. We're seeing economic growth, but we're seeing progress, and people are upset about the type of progress we see, and that kind of bothers me.
And I want to kind of bring up something Brad and I was talking about before this show, because Brad was actually here first today, and we was talking about how First National Bank did a $5 million donation to the Red Wolves Foundation to secure naming rights for the Convocation Center. So it's going starting January 1st. It's going to be First National Bank Arena. And Brother Brad was telling me that there were some people that were against that.
Yeah, we were actually talking about that. And they're like, well, why do we have to have another bank's name on the building? Why can't we get some other sponsor? And it's like, well, these are people putting money back into the community. I mean, I'm sorry you might not like exactly what they're doing.
I bank at First National Bank. I didn't give them the right to take some of my money.
I bank at First National also.
I'm pretty sure.
I bank with Centennial, but I'm happy that
I'm pretty sure they didn't touch your money, but
they touch everybody's money.
Well, yeah, but your money's there. But I mean, it's good. It's still good though.
It's FDIC. You got it in there.
As long as I think Brother Collins just want to make sure that he's not going to have to pay more things like more higher fees and stuff because of this.
Right.
They got to make it up.
But they're supporting your community.
Yes.
But will it make you happy if they put your name on the inside and go across?
That's a good idea. Everybody that banks at First National Bank should.
I got a safe deposit box there, so I want my name on there too.
I bank there. My dad banks there.
Because that's what they did for the students that was Arkansas State from 2007 to the time that I had graduated, and they put everybody's name on the practice field, practice building for the football team.
Your First National Bank.
Yeah. So
See, we were talking around town, sort of, kind of about the same thing that y'all were talking about. And my thought on this was, if you pay $5 million for something and it goes back in the community, you have a choice to make your mind up what you want to name it.
And that money could have went somewhere else.
That's right.
It could have.
But I want my name on it.
Me too, but
we're going to call it the First National Bank in Cobb Arena.
Have a list. Have everybody's name on it.
And sponsors. And for all, just to cover the acknowledgement of saying thank you guys for banking with us so we can put back into the community.
But here's something to consider. I imagine as a customer of First National, you probably be eligible for like free tickets and things. I'm sure that there's going to be some perks.
For the Cobbs, we need to check into this.
But no, and I'm saying this as someone who, as a customer of First National, they do give away a lot of stuff all the time.
And I'll also point out that the Convocation Center has been there for quite a while, and it does probably need some assistance in updating it.
Maybe just
the only Convocation Center at ASU.
What they're doing is, let me see if I can.
It's kind of like when Centennial at the time, Liberty.
I'm gonna go to the KSU website.
At that point, you started seeing positive improvements and renovations to the facility. So that will guarantee that will happen with the Convocation Center.
I don't know about you, Brother Carl. I'm walking in proudly now.
See, look on the screen.
Are you gonna watch your bank statement like I am?
Let me pull up this article if y'all want to look on the screen, because I think they may have the artist rendering of how it'll look once they do it. See here, kind of zoom in on there a little bit.
And while we're talking,
but see, basically, as you see. And this is from KA. Well, I'm sure they probably still had the red, green, blue, and yellow entrances. But the top of the building, you'll see they'll probably paint it and they'll put the big First National Bank logo on there.
But you know what happened? What happened with Liberty Bank when they did all their things? Then it changed.
Well, that's because Centennial bought them out, so they came along with it.
They could. This possibly could wind up going that same direction.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess what me and LeGans were talking about is how do you see anything negative about a company putting $5 million back into the local area?
I don't have a problem with it.
That's what we were talking about. It was kind of interesting to see people have a negative spin on a company keeping money local.
Because with everything, there's always a
Brother Cobbs, okay, let me put it this way. Okay. Well, Brother Cobbs, what if First National Bank decided to do a large donation to KLEK, which would help you to keep Victory Praise God, doing Victory Praise Gospel?
On the matter.
You know,
it's me.
We're gonna leave that alone, Brother Cobbs. But like Brad said, but they're putting it into community.
Into the community, whether they have something to say about that. I think the good book would have something to say about that.
Doesn't every bank have to put back into the community?
And they do, and I'll just use the example of Bancorp South because Bancorp South actually does sponsor KLEK, and the way that it came about is, I can't remember the guy's name, so I won't butcher it, but he said, one of the things that we are required to do is we have certain initiatives to promote localism in the community, especially for minority businesses, and KLEK was a great fit for that. And so, they sponsor our Money Matters segment. And so, banks are, yes, this was what First National did, was on a large scale, but, banks,
they
do little stuff. Of course, Brother Cobbs, you remember the Black Business Consortium that you and Dr. Campbell was involved with. Bancorp South sponsored that. So the banks are.
So in short,
they're doing things all over the community.
This happen. I'm happy to see the money stay here.
Now, but let me ask you this question. Let's make this a little lighthearted. What bank is going to claim the baseball field?
Ooh, good point.
It'd be Centennial.
Well, Centennial already got the football, so
Integrity. They can claim
maybe First Security, maybe Simmons.
If we have enough of them for it to go around, that's a good thing. We have enough for it to go around.
Focus.
Yeah, so.
But whenever.
So we'll see which bank claims the baseball stadium, and then I think we got the track and the soccer field.
How does it work whenever you let's just say
your shop's baseball stadium?
If you put in on something, if you put in on something,
I think we should see that.
Cool Cut Stadium. I like it. I'm digging.
Cool Cut Stadium.
Would that make you feel better, Brother Cobbs, if you got access to amenities and resources? Let's just say that they put their name on the stadium, and you as a banker, maybe you get something from the concession stand or it's just.
And that's what I was saying earlier, because First National Bank does give away a lot of stuff to their customers, and I'm sure that basketball tickets. Well, they even have appreciations and give away
and go back.
They've.
That's a good idea, Brad.
I'm done with you, Brother Bad. But seriously though, but they have appreciations that they do.
Close it out. Next couple weeks later, I got what I wanted.
I'm gonna be honest. I do like going into Simmons, even though I go in there and take care of some things like for my mother. They have popcorn.
Yes, they do.
All right, don't forget Fall Festival, First Baptist Church, 700 Kitchen Street, 4 o'clock p.m. until 7 o'clock p.m. Our own Brother Boyd is going to be holding it down on the ones and twos. They're going to have food. Several churches will be involved. We're going to have St. Bernard's and NEA there. Yeah. I believe they're going to have some bounce houses, some stuff for the kids. We're going to have food. Everybody likes fun. Final shout outs, everybody.
Also, before we get off air, there is Crowley's Ridge Cruisers at Miracle Lake Park. And it's their 16th year. If you would stop by, and if you see my uncle Dick Venezuela,
that Kroger's half price.
That's right.
The trunk or treat is next Thursday, the 26th, 5 to 7 p.m. between Marshall and Melrose. It's being put on by Officer Blake Easley. Donations of candy are needed. You can bring them to the event or drop them off at JPD. Just give them to Sergeant Cassie Brandon. May you guys have a great and blessed day.
Yes.
Have a blessed day.
All right, you got 15 seconds.
They had the kickball tournament out there. So way to go, everybody that participated out there at the complex.
For the hub.
Yeah.
Kick out homelessness. Is that what it was? Kick out homelessness? Yeah, that was really cool.
We got to leave it there. You guys have a great and blessed day. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
Thank you for listening to our Thoughts on the Matter on KLEK 102.5 FM. a program offering opinions from all sides of the issues concerning local, state, and national topics of importance to the Jonesboro community. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the Voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters, donors, or sponsors.
KLEK LP, Jonesboro, the Voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council.